While Xbox makes a lot of money, we have seen their reputation tank with gamers because they've put out bad game after bad game. And unfortunately, yes, they have fumbled some amazing IPs that they've had, like Halo, but now we're finding out Microsoft is rebranding their Halo developer 343 Industries to Halo Studios. But while this is happening, we know that they are still filled with activists, and we can't expect anything to change for the better. I have a few different things to show off, but before I get into the topic, if you enjoy the content I create, check out the links in the description, join the community in my live streams, and consider supporting through Patreon or YouTube memberships. Now, Halo is one of my favorite franchises. I absolutely love it to death, and I actually didn't think that Halo Infinite was terrible, but they basically abandoned it, which was super disappointing, though before that we did have quite a few bad games. Specifically, Halo 5 was a nightmare. And now we're finding out that 343 Industries is being rebranded to Halo Studios, but let's be honest, we can't expect anything different because Microsoft is such an extremely woke company. They're more focused on pushing narratives than creating high quality content, and they are hiring activists that believe in this vision for the future of the gaming industry. We, of course, know that they're focused on fighting toxic gamers by adding all sorts of new features to their platforms. We know that they are more focused on creating inclusive experiences rather than simply hiring people who are good at storytelling. But now we're finding out that Microsoft has rebranded 343 Industries to Halo Studios. In a post to X, the official Halo account shared a new dawn. We're entering the next chapter of the franchise and changing the recipe for how we make Halo games. Go behind the scenes with Project Foundry to explore the creative potential of Halo in Unreal Engine 5. Now, there were a lot of problems with the way that Halo Infinite looked. I'd say for the most part, it actually looked pretty solid, but of course, there were a lot of memes before the game was delayed with how some of the characters looked and just a lot of the models that they decided to go with. And by the end, it did look pretty solid, but we did know that clearly they had to shift engines just because, as time goes on, things become outdated, and there's no way that you are ever going to win. It's basically a losing battle. It's exactly what has been happening, with Bethesda for a very long time at this point. But the company then shared it was recruiting developers to join it to help bring the next generation of Halo games to life. Now, I gotta be honest, I feel like Halo's kind of dead, at least right now. I know they're trying to do this rebrand, and they're trying to say that they've got, a lot of plans for the future, but I will believe it when I see it because we have been promised so much and we've received so little, especially from companies like Microsoft or Xbox Game Studios. Unfortunately, they've really let us down over the years, and unless they decided to magically fire all of the activists that are at this company and they stopped putting politics first and started putting good storytelling and high quality experiences first like they used to, I don't see a way that things are going to particularly get better for them. A rebrand does not mean a complete restructure, and that is what they need, is an overhaul. So if you do not know, there are already a lot of people at, Microsoft, specifically 343 Industries, who are very questionable individuals. Now, of course, I always say this, everyone's going to have their own opinion, have their own beliefs, and if you can leave your politics at the door when you go to work, it should not matter. But unfortunately, we know that companies, again, like Xbox Game Studios, are hiring specific types of people to push along the narratives that they want to push, and we're seeing their chief of staff over at 343 Industries, who, yes, is going to continue to work for them as they rebrand to Halo Studios, as the very type of person that kind of encapsulates everything wrong with the video game industry. They're not really talking about how passionate they are about these franchises, about Halo. They're more worried about virtue signaling. Of course, they have their pronouns she, her. They have, flags everywhere and hashtags everywhere and statements everywhere. It should not matter at the end of the day what your politics are. If you cannot create a good game or you know nothing about a franchise, you should not be part of that franchise. A company should not be hiring you to work in video games if you know nothing about them. So Melissa Boone here has, of course, a LinkedIn where she has posted in the past about how she's currently the chief of staff at, of course, it was updated to Halo Studios, the stewards of the Halo franchise. Man, it makes me so sad because unfortunately Halo is in such a rough shape. My role is to ensure the smooth running of our studio. It includes a little bit of everything. I'm a problem solver, a process builder, a strategic thinker, an executor, an integrator, a communicator, and an advisor. But if you really start looking into them, yep, they are more worried about having their about sections be filled with blah, blah, blah. How she has a PhD in social psychology and public health, but her research in public health focused on how people's social interactions influence their risk for HIV and substance abuse, particularly with African Americans and Latinx folks, LGBTQ plus people and women, but also how these people's personal resilience could be developed and supported to help them avoid poor health outcomes. Then, of course, the only small section actually talking about video games mentions how she did a stint conducting market research in video games, which was so much fun and inspired her to make the leap to the games world. Currently, Melissa manages research across several Xbox franchises and experiences, including Ninja Theory, so Hellblade Senua, which the last game, the sequel, went terribly. Compulsion Games, who is doing South of Midnight, which is a Sweet Baby Inc. game. I mean, we're talking about failure after failure after failure here. So you'd think someone with this many failures under her belt would not be at the helm of this, studio, but she is. And we, of course, know Microsoft's really been, over the past couple of months, trying their very best to not highlight the fact that they are still all about DEI initiatives at their company while quietly being about DEI initiatives. We know over at Activision Blizzard, they attempted to rebrand their diversity, equity, and inclusion branch to inclusive growth. But we also know that on the flip side, we see games coming out like this, the upcoming Civ competitor Aura History Untold, featuring non-binary leaders. So it's just kind of a clusterfuck over there right now, and things are not going particularly well for them on social media because people are absolutely annihilating them, saying rest in peace old engine. Yeah, the memes, next Halo update be like Fortnite. There's also quite a few threads that are people talking about how extremely worried they are over the politics, saying things like Halo is cooked, wrap up all the hope you had. Why must they always fit into a stereotype? Stereotypes exist for a reason. They always look like that. I mean, yeah, she does look like an SJW. So sick of these activists infesting gaming with their ideological poison. It is sad to see this happen time and time again because the head of a studio of the caliber of, Halo slash 343 should be someone who is passionate about the franchise, passionate about gaming, not where they're admitting that they only joined the video game industry after they failed in the marketing industry. So yeah, I mean, I can't say I'm particularly shocked that this is happening, that they're trying to do this massive rebrand so they they can continue to milk Halo for all it's worth, but it is definitely very sad for me to see, and I'm extremely worried about them claiming they are changing the recipe for new Halo games, because we don't want a new recipe, we just want them to go back to the old recipe. We want them to cook like they used to, and I don't think that's going to happen, so I will be keeping my eye on this, but for now, that's all that I really had to discuss in this video. Let everyone know your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed this, give it a like, and if you didn't, give it a dislike. I appreciate your support either way, but I'll talk to you all again in the next video really soon.